So Venmo and the Cash App are two really popular apps for sending and receiving money between friends and family and whoever you want. But besides both doing that, they're actually very different apps. They have a lot of different features, from buying stocks to Bitcoin to debit cards. There's a lot of stuff in these apps, and so it kind of leads to the question of which one's the right one for you. Well, in this video, we're going to break down the similarities and differences between the Cash App and Venmo, and honestly, I've been using both of these apps for a really long time. I've had Venmo for at least 5 or 6 years now, and then the Cash App, I've had that for probably at least 3 years as well. So plenty of experience with either one of these apps. And like I said, they're definitely very different. So in this video, we'll be breaking down the differences. I want to start off with these similarities though, because they fundamentally do a really similar thing. Like, they're geared to solve the same problem, and that is sending money to your friends, or, for that matter, requesting money from your friends. So either one of these, both apps have your own profile. So on Venmo, you're going to have a little handle, like a little @ O'Brien, whatever it is. And then on Cash App, it's going to be called your cash tag, so a little $, and then Mike O'Brien, or whatever you want to make it. And that's going to be how people can identify you and send money to you. So they can just go into send money or request money, type in your little tag, and that's going to be how they find you. Similarly, there's also an easier way to do that if they just open up their app and then they can scan a little QR code on your app, and that's how they find you as well. So two very easy ways to find each other. Of course, if you're on Venmo, you also have the option to connect with like Facebook and find your contacts and your friends. And Cash App similarly does that as well. But finding all of your friends does make it really easy. And of course, on either one of these, you can also add a profile photo. So if you have a photo of, if I have a photo of me and you're trying to pay me, you look up my tag, my handle, you find my picture, and you can pretty much verify that I am who you think I'm going to be. Because, honestly, Mike O'Brien is a really common name. So having that photo definitely helps a lot. So with that being said, that's the fundamentals there. You can send money, you can request money, and that's going to be what both of these apps do. But they also go a step further. They both also have a debit card. But this is where we really start to see some differences. So the Venmo debit card is a card that, it's free to get. It's going to use your Venmo balance to spend money. Honestly, I thought it was really convenient. You have like 5 or 6 different colors to choose from. And if I go to a restaurant with a couple friends, I use my Venmo card, and then in the app, I can choose to split the bill, and it'll automatically go and charge, whoever else, request money from whoever else I want that is maybe at the table with me. It's a really convenient feature. And on top of that, Venmo also has a couple little bonuses here and there where you might get some money back, some cash back for groceries or something like that. That's pretty much it for the Venmo card. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a regular debit card. But the Cash App card, I think, is a little bit more interesting. At least in my opinion, I like it a little bit better because, starting off with the style, you only have 3 colors to choose from: a black, a white, and a glow-in-the-dark one. But whichever one you choose, you can like scribble all over it, customize it exactly how you want, add emojis, add words, whatever you want to do, you can really make the card your own. So I think that looks pretty cool. And then on top of that, really the benefit when you're using the card is that it has some really cool boost features, of what they call it. It's essentially the same thing we saw on Venmo, where you get like some kickbacks on certain things. But it's very different on Cash App because instead of being something that you get back at the end of the month, you get it back pretty much instantaneously. And they'll give you like a couple dollars for going to McDonald's or stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of different brands that are participating in that. And so the Cash App boost feature is something that is honestly pretty cool. It's something that you don't really see on a lot of other cards out there, and it's obviously free to get. So it's a useful feature here. And while we're on the subject of benefits with the Cash App, let's talk about a couple other ones that I really think are interesting with this app. And one of them, as I mentioned early on, was that you can buy stocks with the Cash App. And I actually have a full tutorial on how to do that. But buying stocks using your, money banking, everything app is pretty convenient. It keeps everything in one location. It's easy to transfer money around, and it's very convenient to do that. Now, on top of that, you can also have fractional shares. So, for example, if I have $10 in my Cash App account and I want to invest in stocks, and I really like Tesla stock, for example, I could just go and buy a fractional share. Even though Tesla is $800 something right now, I could put $1 into Tesla and it buys a fraction of a share. It's something that Cash App does. It's, again, really nice to have. Of course, quick disclaimer, this is by no means financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy any stocks. This is purely for informational purposes only. And if stocks are really not your thing, you can also get into cryptocurrency in the Cash App. So you actually have a tab over there. You can buy Bitcoin, trade Bitcoin, do whatever you need to do with that. So a lot of features that you don't see in Venmo are really present on Cash App. But there are, of course, benefits to using Venmo. One of them is the transfer limit. So on Cash App, you're limited to $2,500. On Venmo, the limit is $5,000. So if you are like buying a cheap car from a friend, you might be limited if you're using Cash App. Other than that, I haven't really made many $5,000 transactions on Venmo, to be honest, but it's a limit that you want to be aware of. And of course, if you want to take your money out of either one of these apps, it should be free to do. It'll take like 1 to 3 business days. But if you need the money like now, instantly, there is going to be a 1% or 1.5% transaction fee, depending on which app you're using. So 1% using Venmo, 1.5% using Cash App. And I think Venmo has a cap. It might be like up to a couple dollars, I think. But regardless, you're going to be looking at some type of fee when you're trying to get your money instantly. If it's an emergency and you have to do that, it's something to be aware of. Another aspect to Venmo that I think is a positive, but some people think it's a little bit of a negative, is that it's kind of socially driven. Like it has a social media backbone in some sense where, I think it's convenient that you can find other people's profile. I can see who they paid previously if they're public. So for example, if I'm paying like a friend of a friend, I can go and find their profile. And if they don't have a profile picture, I can look at who they paid recently. And I can say, oh, they paid my friend group, like this is the right person. And so I think that's a nice feature to have. Some people like to kind of make jokes about how they pay each other and like they'll pay for rent and they'll add some kind of like funny, unrelated emoji. But regardless, it's something that it's kind of a social aspect. I personally make all of mine private. By default, they are going to be public. So if you use Venmo and you don't want other people to see your transactions, obviously they don't see the amount, but if you don't want people to see who you paid and why you paid them, then you can just go into your settings and make them all private. Very easy to do, but it's something that is an option on Venmo, and I think that's definitely a bit of a plus. Venmo might also be a better pick because at least at the time of making this video, there are more users on Venmo. So there's a higher probability that if you're looking to pay your friend back for something, they're more likely to have Venmo. And if you want to add multiple bank accounts or credit cards, like either one of these apps can accept banks or credit cards, but Cash App, you just choose one source, at least right now. And then on Venmo, you can add credit cards and debit cards, bank accounts, whatever you want to do when you're bringing money into your account. But definitely be aware that if you're using a credit card, there is going to be like I think it's about 3% transaction fee when you're bringing money into Venmo. So I usually just link it up with like a debit card or a bank or something like that. And it's just easier to set it up that way. And of course, one more benefit to Venmo, if you are a business, you can create a business profile on Venmo. So if you're trying to, really it's beneficial to anybody. If you're trying to pay businesses, it's more likely they would have a Venmo account. And if you are a business, you can have a Venmo business account. It's nice to have. But switching over to some benefits with the Cash App, one of them, a big one really, is that while either one of these works on Apple and Android as a free app, Cash App actually does work on the browser as well. So if you're just trying to do something, manage your money on the internet, just using your desktop or your laptop, it's nice that you can do that without needing your phone, without needing the app. And of course, whenever you're talking about a financial app, it is really important to consider the trustworthiness of them and look into who owns the company. Are they a really tiny startup company that nobody really uses, they're not reliable, or are they owned by a bigger company? And fortunately, with both of these, they are owned by a larger company. So Venmo's been around for a while by now, so we know that they're a pretty secure company. But they are actually owned by PayPal, which is an even bigger company that a lot of people, it's pretty much a household name for online retail stuff. And then similarly, Cash App is owned by Square, which is the big behind the scenes. They accept credit cards all over the internet, most websites you go on. And of course, if you go to your local burrito shop, it's very, very likely they'll be using a Square credit card reader. Okay, so guys, that's pretty much all the differences I wanted to talk about with Venmo and the Cash App. So which one's actually the better app to get? Well, it kind of comes down to this. Personally, I end up using Venmo just because more of my friends use Venmo. So if I'm trying to send or request money, I'm pretty much stuck using Venmo. But I also have apps for stocks and banking and debit cards. Like I have a lot of different apps. So, I'll use those instead. But if you're looking for a one-stop shop where you can trade stocks, you can get Bitcoin, you can get a debit card and kind of manage all your finances in one location, the Cash App is a really great pick. So especially anybody who is a beginner, I would highly recommend getting the Cash App. And I'll put links down below to either one of these. If you download the Cash App with my link below, I think you get either $5 or $10 for free. And so, that's no reason not to do that. And of course, both of these apps are free to get. So realistically, even if you prefer one or the other, I probably recommend downloading both. That's why I have both on my phone, just in case you're in any situation where somebody only has one of the apps. They only have Venmo or they only have the Cash App. you'll still be able to pay them without making them download your app. So guys, if you found this video helpful, consider liking and subscribing. Leave a comment if you have any questions about either one of these apps. Like I said, this is based on my own experience. I've been using these for a long time, and this is by no means financial advice. So if you enjoyed the video, consider liking, subscribing. This is a brand new channel for a lot of different financial apps. Excited to share those with you guys, but I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.